This is a scene that is all too familiar to many players. Actually, all too familiar to most players. Pretty much everyone who has even a small amount of experience in competitive games knows what it feels like to at one point be hard stuck. Hard stuck obviously meaning unable to rank up past a certain rank. Whether that rank is bronze, silver, gold, platinum, or even immortal, pretty much everyone has experienced this at one point, and it makes them question, what is the secret thing that I'm missing? Why can't I go any further? Well, I spent some time watching top tier players and their takes on being hard stuck, and I compiled all of the best takes here in hopes to help give you all some insight on how you can get out of that slump, because trust me, I know it can be hard. The first thing comes directly from watching Sentinel's player Shazam, and it's something you may have never heard. When you watch Shazam play, you'll notice he's a very strong player, but one question you might have for these players is how do they play the game so much without losing their mental? A player like Shazam, between streaming and playing professionally, probably plays the game from 8 to 10 hours a day sometimes, so how in the world does he do it? Because I know after 10 hours of playing Valorant, sometimes I want to tear my hair out, so how in the world does he dedicate this much time and effort to the game? The answer is that he's not invested in the short-term results of playing comp. Something you need to understand about watching these professional players is that they're professional players and matchmaking doesn't really mean that much to them. Even players who seem to care a lot about individual matches on stream, at the end of the day, don't really care all that much because it's not like those games are barring them from competing. At the end of the day, what do you think Hiko cares more about? Hitting Radiant in Valorant or winning the next major? Obviously, he cares more about winning the major. And does his matchmaking rating affect his ability to do that? Not really. So what exactly am I saying in this tip? These top tier players are oftentimes far more invested in the long-term results than the short-term. One game of matchmaking isn't going to shatter their mental. They don't really care because they're going to be focusing on the full picture and try to climb. Also along with this, like I said, Shazam probably spends around 8 to 10 hours a day on Valorant, and the thing people miss is that not all of these hours are actually spent playing Valorant. Like on his days off, maybe you see him stream for 18 hours a day, sure. But on his days when he's working, he has practice with his team off stream too, and they do things other than just grinding out matches and scrimming. They're doing VOD review. They probably run strats, plan strats, go over strats. Some teams have team building exercises. There's tons of things that they do related to Valorant that aren't grinding the game. And these things, because they're related to Valorant, make them better at the game. Now, of course, you're not going to run strats to play in matchmaking, but you could, instead of playing Valorant for 8 hours, do a VOD review for 1. And I guarantee you'll get a lot of value out of this. With most things, there's something called diminishing returns, which means that the more you do it, the less value you're going to get out of it. So if you play Valorant for 8 hours in a day, you're probably not going to improve much more than if you just played for 7. Especially if you're tilting. There's not really much to be attained from that 8th hour of play. In fact, I would go as far to say that grinding comp for 8 hours in a day is lazy, and at some point it won't really show any real benefit. But the cool thing about diminishing returns is that this also generally means that the amount of time you spend doing things early on actually have a lot of value and you can learn a lot from them. For example, if you VOD review for 1 hour, you're probably going to notice a lot more of your obvious mistakes very quickly and be able to fix those things, and who knows, maybe these obvious mistakes show a big improvement for you. This is also a great way though for you to remove some of the focus on the games themselves. Think of it more as a process. Like for me, most of my time in my day actually revolves around Valorant, but with that being said, I don't really spend that much time actually playing the game. I spend time making these guides, I spend time watching pro players to pick up new tips and tricks, I spend time watching professional matches, I spend time editing my own videos on my channel, and then aside from that, I spend time working out or playing my drum set. And in fact, I've noticed the less time I spend actually playing Valorant, the more I seem to actually win when I do play Valorant. Because when I do play, my mental is clear and I'm more prone to making better decisions because I'm not constantly grinding and tilting myself. I remember hearing Tens talk about the fastest way to climb in Valorant before, and he said the fastest way to climb is probably not by playing all day, but rather by playing 3 to 4 games a day and just focusing really hard during those games. Don't overwork yourself. It's not going to be the most productive way to climb, and it's not going to be the most fun way to climb either. And before I move on to the most important thing when trying to get out of being hard stuck, if you're looking for all the nuances to perfect in your play, there are really no secrets to improving. Nobody is holding back on you. All of that information is available, it just sometimes is difficult to find. That's why we make these videos. I'm not telling you this stuff from my own experience exclusively, I'm telling you this stuff from hearing the top tier players speaking on these problems, and I'm putting it into these videos where you can have all the information in one easily accessible place. And if you wanted to hear specifically all of the best ways to climb, you really should check out all of our other courses we have available on SkillCapped.com. We have a rank improvement guarantee, so if you don't see your rank improving, you'll get your money back. But there's literally so much value here, I find it hard to believe that you won't improve. If you're looking for the fastest way to climb in Valorant, be sure to check it out at SkillCapped.com, link in the description below. But moving on to the most important thing when trying to get out of being hardstuck, you need to change things up. Try to remember you're at the rank that you're at for a reason, and everyone's reason is going to be different too. There's no like secret checklist of things you need to do to get out of bronze, silver, or gold. There's general things players will notice, but for the most part, it's up to you to figure out what you struggle with and how you can improve more. For example, in ranks below silver, generally players are still learning the game. They're learning what abilities do, they're learning how to aim and actually shoot their guns accurately, they're learning the maps and the angles that exist. However, there's some players in silver who may feel like they understand these things. Now, I'd probably say if you feel like you have a mastery of all these things and you're in silver, you're sadly mistaken, but for the purpose of this example, let's just say they do have a mastery of these things. They have great crosshair placement, they have good map knowledge, they know how to control recoil, and they know what all of the abilities do. They probably are really lacking in some other area. And I can't really tell them what that area is without specifically looking at their gameplay and coaching them, and that's the problem with these generalized tips. You, watching this video right now, I could give you a bunch of basic tips, but that's not going to help you more than if you actually spend time looking at your own play and thinking about what you're doing wrong. Nobody is going to carry you to Immortal, and nobody's going to tell you everything you're doing wrong and how to fix it. You need to figure out what you're doing wrong yourself and fix it. And this is not a process you can do accurately while playing the game. You need to spend time outside of the game. Do you think Tens became one of the best players in Valorant without being able to look at his own plays and figure out what he's doing wrong? Of course not. He's a player who is constantly reflecting on what he's doing wrong in the game, and then after he picks out something he is doing wrong, he stops making that mistake. And this is the most important part to becoming good at games, so I'm going to say it again. When you make a mistake, you need to recognize it and not make that mistake anymore. The reason guide videos like this are so helpful is because we're going to tell you common mistakes that players make and how to identify those mistakes so that you can correct them. But it's your job to recognize those mistakes in your own play so that you can correct them. We can't do that for you. I genuinely mean this when I say it. The tips are all here for you to hit Immortal. There's no secrets. You just need to take the time to apply them. Something to keep in mind while you're thinking about this too, though, is that you're not the only one trying to improve at the game. The problem isn't even actually that you're not improving. The problem is that you're not improving at a rate that is faster than the community itself is improving. Even if you've been stuck in bronze the whole time, maybe your rank itself hasn't gone up, but you've gotten better at the game. Don't be deceived. This happens with every game, and it explains why everyone in Platinum seems to be able to land the most insane shots right now. Back in the beta, I remember it wasn't uncommon to have players dropping 40 kills in a game, but that just doesn't seem to happen nearly as often anymore because players are better at the game. They're better at trading out kills, they're better at reading situations, and they're better at crosshair placement. They're better at pretty much everything. It's not that you're getting worse at the game, it's not that you aren't getting better, but the rate you're getting better isn't faster than the community as a whole. Well, how do we help you improve faster? Well, that was pretty much what the first two tips were all about. How to help you improve faster than other players. Most players aren't putting in any work outside of the game. They're not looking over their plays after the game and thinking about what they did wrong during the match or how they can improve. But I'm going to leave you with this last bit of advice that I've learned recently about players in Valorant. This is for the players who really want to set themselves apart from other players in the game. Most players in Valorant are very good at focusing on the micro aspects of the game, but are very bad at focusing on the macro game as a whole. I'm going to say that again because I feel this is very important for players improving past whatever point they're hardstuck at. Most players are very good at improving the parts of their play that have to do with aim and movement, but they are very bad at improving on larger concepts in the game like strategy, communication, and tactics. The reason for this is because it takes a lot less work and attention to improve on something like aim than it does to focus on things like tactics and strategy. It's very easy for me to understand to get kills, I just need to click heads. It's a lot more difficult for me to understand all of the possibilities going on in the game and which one of these possibilities will give me the highest percentage chance to click ahead. If this all is confusing for you though, let's just narrow it down to this. Lots of players in the game have good aim, but good aim will only take you so far. Remember earlier when we talked about diminishing returns? Your aim can only get so good. There comes a point where the other faults in your play are going to make a far bigger difference in your ranking up, and furthermore, aim is something that will improve over time. Because every time you're playing the game, your aim is getting better. Your mouse control will get better, your movement will get better, but you know what won't get better unless you put an active focus on it? Your communication, your utility usage, your patience, your rotations, your ability to play post plants, your ability to play off of teammates. Valorant is a lot more than just clicking heads, and if you feel like you're hard stuck, I think focusing on your macro play is what is really going to be a good place to start. Because sometimes you're going to be able to out-aim your opponents, and sometimes you're not. And what are you going to do when you can't? But remember, if you want to learn more about all of the common mistakes players make and how you can pick them out in your own games and fix them, be sure to check out SkillCapped.com, link in the description below. I hope this video was helpful for some of you to understand more about what it means to be hard stuck and how to get out of this slump. Pretty much everyone who's played competitive games has been hard stuck before, and it's a rough feeling, but at the end of the day, it's part of what makes climbing in the game feel so rewarding. Knowing that you've actually overcome something that was challenging to you is a great feeling, and it sucks that we have to endure so much frustration in the process, but it's cool when you finally do reach your peak rank. As always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel down below. It really does help us out, and that's all for us. I'm King, and we here at SkillCapped want to thank you all for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.